Hello everybody, I'm Nick, and in this video I want to react to the 2021 developer survey from Stack Overflow. And this is the thing I actually look forward every year because it's very exciting to see what people are thinking about technology. But actually when this one came out, I was on holiday and I haven't actually looked at this at all. So I thought it would be a fun concept to do a blind reaction to the survey. Now, please know that I am a .NET and C# developer primarily, so I will be biased towards those technologies. But I will give you my opinion on different things that I do find interesting. If you like the content and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe and ring the notification bell to get alerted when I upload a new video. So let's see what we have here. Blah, blah, blah. We don't really care about that. So skip to the interesting things. I want to point out that this actually was taken by 80,000 developers around the world, while the previous one I think was 65,000. So 15,000 more, which gives us a bigger pool of people, hopefully more accurate results. So these are the top 10 countries that participated in this. Surprisingly, this is actually exactly how my viewership is in this channel too. The only difference is I have more UK viewers than Germany, but it's interesting that the channel viewership aligns to this one. Maybe the Western world is distributed in this way when it comes down to programmers. Then learning to code. Oh, how interesting. 60% is actually online resources like videos, How Meta. This is a channel all about learning. School and college. I am assuming school also refers to uni here, unless this is a like Americanized version of this. And then online courses, 10% bootcamp. I would expect this to be higher. I've seen so many people actually attend or undertake a coding bootcamp and then jump into a job. And it looks like a very frictionless and straightforward path. Sometimes lacking the deep background that uni or college can give you if you study CS or software engineering, but interesting nonetheless. Now, there's a by age tab here, and I think that younger people do prefer these types of resources like online resources, bootcamps, and so on. But I wouldn't be surprised if older people have more college and school distribution. So let's see here. So yeah, interesting. As you become older, online resources become less and less prevalent. However, school is higher in older programmers, and books likewise, which I would consider the more old-fashioned ways to learn about programming. So it's nice to see how younger people actually prefer the free and online stuff, while older one prefer the paid. Or I guess at the time it was the go-to way to learn programming, so it would make sense that this would be higher here. Pretty cool, actually. Now, developer roles, 50% full stack. So the interesting thing about full stack, and I'm not surprised by the way that backend is higher than front end. This is how I see things all over these years as well. Now, the full stack is a bit of an interesting one because I don't necessarily believe in that particular role. I've seen it working, but it's very rare that you're going to get a full stack developer that is equally good in front end and back end. Usually you're getting a full stack developer who's excellent or very competent in one of the two and then passable on the other. And I've certainly seen people who are very good at both, but it's like 1 out of 20 in my experience anyway. And I think that companies do that maybe for cost saving because they think they get more value for their money. In my experience, I've seen separating the roles be more effective. Long term, I think it's also more cost effective, but I can see how smaller companies would want to go with a full stack developer. So educational attainment. Interesting. 70% of all respondents and 80% of all professional ones have completed some form of higher education, bachelor's degree being the most common. So I openly say that you don't need a bachelor's or a master's or any sort of like degree to get into programming or actually get a job. That being said, it certainly helps, and it is a very safe bet of a way to get into the sector. So I'm not surprised that the majority of people actually have a bachelor's. I would not think that master's is actually that high, but maybe in some other countries it's more of a thing that you should do. Yeah, and professionals is actually even higher. That's very surprising to me. The bachelor's I do expect, to be honest. Now, moving on to my favorite sector, technology. So let's see what's the most popular ones. So, what the surprise? Python, I mean, we're going to ignore this one, and JavaScript on the top. SQL, everybody needs to know SQL. Java, oh, that's all respondents. Should I do professional developers and see how that distribution looks like? Well, I guess I want to see what's the difference, because if you're starting and you're picking up, I would expect maybe that Python is a bit lower. And maybe Node is a bit lower for professionals, and maybe Java is that high because unis usually pick it up as one of their classes. So I could see how all respondents would inflate that. If I click on that, yeah, so Java is lower, Python is lower, at least lower than SQL. Java is lower, C# is higher, PHP is here. Interesting. Go. Where's Rust? I want to see where Rust is because people make a big deal about it. So that's 7%. Kotlin is above that. So Rust and Go are the two things I actually want to take a look at because people won't shut up about them. So I'm intrigued by these two, and I think I'm going to actually make a couple of videos trying to make an API in those two languages completely blind, so without having written a line of them. So if you want to actually stay tuned for that, hit the subscribe button. So okay, then people apparently still write COBOL, whatever. Oh, F# is pretty low down here. Okay, I want to see how the most loved section actually goes, because people make a big deal about things like Julia or Clojure or F#. So let's see how they look. Databases, yeah, MySQL, no surprise there. Postgres again. SQLite, maybe I think Android development inflates that. I don't know why Mongo is that popular. I would go with other databases instead of Mongo, but okay, I guess it's there and it's hard to migrate away from. Redis can be used on anything. That's the interesting thing. Redis is a database usually over databases. So even if you have like SQL or SQLite or Mongo or whatever, your top level caching layer will almost definitely be on Redis. What else are you going to use at this point? I'm surprised that Elastic is that low and Maria is that low, and that there is no Cosmos DB. I would expect at least Cosmos DB here, but I guess it didn't make the cut. Interesting. Now cloud platforms is next, and I'll tell you what I think without actually looking at it yet. I think AWS is the leader in terms of popularity by maybe far. Then Microsoft Azure is a close second, and then maybe GCP is a third, a distant third maybe, and then I don't know, DigitalOcean, so something like that. So let's see what we have here. So first is AWS, second, wait a second. So what? So Azure is third. Wait a second. Okay, so interesting. I don't know if Firebase actually affects that, because I can totally see someone just starting out using Firebase as their database, and that would inflate at GCP. And yeah, Azure is more popular in the professional environment, but it's so weird to me that even here the lead isn't bigger, because I don't know many people actually using GCP. I know it's a good cloud platform, but I haven't looked at it in the past year. Stay tuned for some GCP videos, I guess. I have to do some research on that. That's really interesting. Wow, AWS is so much ahead. By the way, that's what I'm using professionally as well, AWS. Personally, I'm using Azure. Wow, that's really interesting. So what's next? Web frameworks. React.js, the top, that's my framework of choice as well. ASP.NET Core is down here, but it treats it as a web framework. Okay, 18%. I guess it is a web framework. Then Flask, ASP.NET, the old version. Okay. So if you combine them, that would be under jQuery. jQuery is just not going anywhere, by the way. Like, people are hating on it, but it's just not, it's more popular than Angular and Vue.js. That's so funny. Then Django down here, Spring. Okay, Svelte is pretty low, but people make a big deal about it. Like, I've seen threads upon threads about how amazing Svelte is. Interesting. Drupal is so low as well. I thought that was higher. Wow. And what's next? Other tools. Yeah. What a surprise. Git. I don't know who's the 7% not using Git. Like, what are you using? Like, Subversion? Is that what it was called? TVA? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, everyone should use Git. Now, Docker, the reason why I knew Docker is 50% is because when they actually turned this into a paid product, well, Docker Desktop was turned into a paid product, they referenced that stat. So it's interesting. I don't understand why 16.6% is using Kubernetes, though. That goes over my head because, let me see, professionally it should be higher. Yeah, 20%. So, look, I'm not saying that using Kubernetes is bad. I'm just saying that 20% of 55,000 people, maybe 10% of that, maybe half, doesn't need Kubernetes. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's a bit overkill, right? Like, there's other alternatives you can use. But then if you're on GCP, it makes sense. AKS and EKS make it really easy to jump on it, so maybe you're not running your cluster. I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence with Kubernetes. I am preparing a video with Kubernetes on how to run your .NET application in Kubernetes, but I'm still a bit like, maybe it's a bit too much. I don't know. Okay, interesting. And then Terraform, okay. more popular than, where's Pulumi? That's another thing that people like make a big deal about. Pulumi everywhere. Pulumi is amazing. Pulumi is great. Use Pulumi. And then Terraform just, bam, dominates it. I personally use Terraform. I think it's great. It's interesting to see that the technologies that people make a big deal about, like you should be using that, are so low in adoption, which is like the minor voices that can really make it look like it's being used. Interesting. So IDEs, Visual Studio Code. I mean, it is a text editor that we use as an IDE with plugins, extensions. Okay. Passable. I guess this should be IDs and text editors, but fine. Yeah, this is pretty high as well. IntelliJ is so high. Vim, okay. Whatever tickles your pickle, I guess. Where is Rider? 3.99. That's so low. That's my IDE of choice for .NET. Hey, JetBrains, reach out. I can help you promote it. Okay, let's move forward. Operating system, Windows dominant. I mean, what can I say? It is the better IDE. I'm joking. The only reason why I'm happy with Windows is because a Windows subsystem for Linux 2 is freaking awesome. Like I can do everything I ever wanted. So that's the reason why I'm not rolling Linux. And I do have a Mac for traveling and moving around. Anyway, let's go to most loved, dreaded, and wanted technologies. So Rust is top. I've seen its syntax and I've seen how it plays out. I like it, but then in Clojure, there's like 1.2K responses that say that. And then if you go to something like Node, it's like 17,000 responses. So remember that even though this is the order, it's based on the pool of the technology itself. So even though Julia is here with 70% loved, it's only 755 responses. Python very high as well. TypeScript is freaking amazing. I really like TypeScript. It has several features that I'd like adopted in C# actually. F# I would expect higher based on how much people who advocate about it like say they love it. And then C#, 14,000 people. That's quite plenty actually, 61%. Erlang. Java is pretty low, so is PHP, with like the pendulum swinging the dreaded direction. Interesting. Fine. What's next? Databases. Redis. Redis is such an easy technology to love because it does basically one thing, but it does it perfectly. Like there hasn't been a time where I said, oh man, that index I need to create and I need to have some downtime because it's locking a table. It's really gonna like key value pair, distributed cache. Go do it, fine. And interestingly, we only have like one RDBMS in the high loved Postgres, which is great by the way. And then you have NoSQL, and then RDBMS, okay. Cassandra, I'm not seeing so much Cassandra anymore. I guess Couchbase is a thing as well. But Cassandra I used to see a lot more. Now it's just nowhere. And I'm wondering which tag actually made it obsolete or not as relevant. Not much to see here. Web frameworks. Svelte, 71.47%. ASP.NET Core second. Oh, wow. With the same percentage, but 7 times more people. That's awesome. I'm so happy for that. I think ASP.NET Core was going in a like great direction. And it's so good to see people actually say they love it. I think it's an amazing tech to use to build everything web. Especially APIs, like it's amazing at that. And the team at Microsoft is heavily investing in it. So great to see that it's chart topping here. And if you ask me, it has more responses than Svelte, so it should be first. But anyway, by the way, don't be fooled by this. This is the old ASP.NET. We don't like this. This is bad. Move away from it. That's the good one, the core one. Next, we have top paying technologies. Let's see what we have. Clojure. Oh, by the way, this is across every country. So the numbers would be all over the place. I'm wondering if you can filter by country. I don't think you can. Let's see maybe later down below. So Clojure, fine. Oh, wow. F# second with $81,000. The 5 people who write it professionally must make so much money. This is a joke. You don't need to get angry. I like F#. Perl. Why? I guess that's why. Because why? Rust, Go, Lisp. What? People still, I guess it's a supply and demand thing. Like if no one wants to write it, then people will pay more. Maybe? Shop 8,000. Okay, I guess. Kotlin 55,000. Kotlin's a cool language. I really like Kotlin. Where's Java? 51,000. Interesting how all these languages that kind of look and feel the same are around the same area. Okay, what else can I filter by? Databases. DynamoDB. 80,000. I can see that. You see, NoSQL databases are harder, like the difficulty in RDBMSs is on the RDBMS itself, how, where to add the index, or how to like optimize this, how to optimize that. The hard thing and usually, I guess these salaries are mostly DBA related on the RDBMS side, while the NoSQL ones is usually the team, the software engineers who do the data modeling, which is the hard thing, because most of these things are managed. Like DynamoDB is managed by AWS. Elasticsearch, yes, you can roll your own cluster, but that's tough. You're gonna go with like Elastic Cloud or Bonsai or Algolia or something like that. So I can see why these salaries will be higher, because they would touch towards the software engineering salaries more than the DBA one. Interesting. What else can I filter by? Platform. AWS makes more money. Okay, so money-wise, it's pretty close. GCP is lower. Why would that be? Well, I guess it's cheaper. So if you're choosing the cheaper platform, maybe you're paying less for the people who use the platform, which would explain Heroku being lost. Maybe. I'm just trying to rationalize here. I don't know. Web frameworks, ASP.NET Core, 60K, great. Okay, I just saw this. Why is Ruby on Rails 77K? Like, who is using Ruby on Rails? Okay. Airbnb, fine. Crunchbase, Ask.fm, Bloomberg. Okay, it is being used. Interesting. I had kinda like written it off of something that doesn't actually exist anymore. Okay, let's go to work and salaries. So wait a second, that doesn't make much sense. So why is engineering manager higher than senior executive? Oh, okay. So this is all respondents. So I can see some companies not have a senior like executive or VP for software engineering. So for them, it's engineering manager around the world. I would expect if I click on the United States one, that senior executive is way higher than engineering manager, around, I don't know, 200,000, while engineering manager is around 120. So let's see what that looks like. Oh, wow, I underestimated this. So senior executive, 177 in the US, makes sense. Engineering manager, 165,000, pretty decent. Engineer, site reliability. So yeah, site reliability or DevOps, they're getting paid a lot more than engineers from what I've seen around, mainly because it's less people and it's more of a new thing that people are really aggressively hiring for. So they're offering high salaries because they're competing for a small pool of people. So this makes a lot of sense. Full stack is being paid less, which, where's frontend? Interesting. So what I've seen around is, yes, backend is usually the highest paid from the three. And then you have frontend competing with full stack for second place. I've seen frontends being offered actually something closer to a backend salary, while full stack is usually lower. Interesting. How is that around the world? So if backend, full stack, and then frontend is significantly lower. Okay, I don't understand why people undermine frontend engineers in their salaries. Maybe bigger pool of people to choose from. I can see that. More people, I think, do front-end than back-end. Okay, well, and then we go into years of experience and technology, yada, yada, yada. I don't really care about that. And then community. That's all actually I want to touch on this video. Really interesting insights. I will definitely take a look at Go, Rust, and GCP. Those three things really, really piqued my interest out of this survey. And maybe I'm going to make videos on them as well. That's all I have for you for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Special thanks to my Patreons for making these videos possible. If you want to support me as well, you're going to find the link in the description down below. Leave a like if you like this video, subscribe if you're not going to like this, and ring the bell as well. And I'll see you in the next video. Keep coding.